Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video today we will be talking about the brand new In Space with Markiplier Part 2. This was amazing. One of my favorite Markiplier type projects yet. There was so much memorable and good moments in this, even if you spend the whole time going to different dimensions through the wormhole. It's still so funny, so cool, and so emotional as well. There are also some scenes that are genuinely sad if you've already gotten to warm up towards all these characters already. The absolute best moment in that whole video has to be whenever Markiplier sings the Space is Cool song again.
Space was so cool, so cool, but it won't even live in a memory. Universe unspooled, so cruel to be leaving with only a melody. So pretty, what a pity. There were billions and billions of stories, and infinite stars. We did our best to hold it together, but now the seams are all pulling apart.
Only people who have been watching Markiplier for a very long time would have understood why that is such a good moment in this video. But now, it's theory time. So I want to go ahead and bring this up before any of y'all start commenting it again, because I saw a couple of comments about it, and I just want to quickly share my thoughts about it before we actually begin the actual theories and stuff. So, MatPat uploaded a theory video about In Space with Markiplier, and a couple people might have been thinking, oh, he's gonna get it correct because he was a part of it, so he probably just has insight on what it is. And I'm thinking, if anything, he got it wrong on purpose, because there's such a big detail that he kind of forgot about in his latest theory. The first thing he said was that he thinks you are playing as Darkiplier. That alone technically doesn't really have anything that disproves it. It's a possibility technically. But then he says that he thinks Celine is also this other girl. Every single theory video, I forget the name of this girl, so I'm just showing a picture of her up on the screen as usual. But pretty much this makes zero sense if he also believes that you're playing as Darkiplier, because Darkiplier is literally Damien and Celine's soul inside of pretty much your dead body. You being the person you play as and who killed Markiplier. Of course, no hate towards game theory. I'm actually a pretty big fan of theirs. I just don't see how this one girl can be Celine, while Celine is also technically inside of Darkiplier, who he thinks is you. But anyways, moving on to the actual theories for In Space with Markiplier Part 2. Now, I want to start off by calling a bit of things that we ended up getting right, like the fact that this old man is the future Markiplier, and the fact that this man right here was actually inspired by Markiplier's GTA skin. Shout out to Lost Kid on that last one. I'm pretty sure he's the one who called that. But now let's start off talking about the Invincible 3. And yes, you heard me right. There is an Invincible 3. At the very beginning of In Space with Markiplier Part 2, whenever you go into the restaurant with just all the chefs, literally everybody there is just a different variation of the chef, you end up sitting down with future Markiplier, and he's holding a magazine, or he's reading a magazine, that talks about the Invincible 3, third time's the charm, along with showing a picture of what it most likely might look like, unless if this is supposed to be a picture of the first or second Invincible, because the third one isn't yet built. But we don't know that for sure. To be honest, this doesn't really help us or affect us in any way lore-wise or anything like that, besides the fact that an Invincible 3 might end up showing up in a later Markiplier project or something. But besides the fact that there's an Invincible 3 on the news, the fact that you do sit down and start talking with future Markiplier does confirm that the true, canon ending of In Space with Markiplier is most likely the ending where the old Markiplier ends up trying to stop you and, gets y'all stuck in some kind of blue abyss-looking place. But now let's go back, because there's one more thing that I forgot to mention that I, completely guessed right about, and that was this scene right here.
It's not every day that you find yourself in a strange place you've never seen before. But here I was, in a strange place I've never seen before.
Heard you're the type of guy that can get things done.
The reason I'm just now bringing this up is because I kind of took a break while editing this video to rewatch In Space with Markiplier Part 2, and I just now got to see this clip. But now let's ask the big question. Where does this fit in the timeline? Now, the answer to this is obvious, but definitely not simple. So we already know the ending takes place, right after In Space with Markiplier Part 1. They wake up from their sleep thing, they're at the planet that they were going to colonize, and they get ready to colonize it. But that's only the very ending of Part 2 that takes place at that moment. The rest of it takes place when you are going through the wormhole. So actually, I think every single time you see a different clip, a different scene from going into the wormhole, you are going to a different spot each time in the Markiplier timeline. Take, for example, the Wilford Warfstache cameo. You can tell from the area which it takes place, plus the pink wig, that this video actually takes place pretty close around the Wilford Warfstache video. Our next example is the first time we see Abe in this video. He's wearing a different outfit than he usually wears, meaning this probably is somewhere else on the timeline we don't usually see him in.
No one ever said this job would be fun, rookie.
Notice how he calls you rookie. This must mean that you're kind of like his partner, or you're starting off to be his partner. And what do we see in Who Killed Markiplier? We see Abe having tons and tons of pictures of past partners in his wallet. This leads me to believe that the moment that we're in Space with Markiplier Part 2, is before Who Killed Markiplier, and we're actually in the viewpoint as one of Abe's past partners. And the final example I have to show to y'all today is of Yancey. If y'all don't know who Yancey is, it's pretty much the prisoner Markiplier from A Heist with Markiplier. His cameo in here makes sense at first, but then the more you think about it, the more you realize all this really does is just confuse the timeline even more. You'll see what I mean once I explain it to you. So pretty much you and Yancey talk some, and then he says how he just decided to apply for parole. And if you guys have seen any of my past theories, you know Markiplier and parole is like a sticker that I can use to stick onto videos and put them exactly where they fit on the timeline, just because of one sentence that Markiplier says about parole. I can always know where to put it on the timeline. Except this really confuses me, because this shouldn't be the actor Markiplier, which is the Markiplier with the red robe which died in Who Killed Markiplier but came back and is a real jerk and all that. This should be Yancey, not actor Markiplier. You can even tell by how he speaks. This is Yancey and not actor Markiplier.
Last letter. And I thought to myself, hey, why not? You know, not oh yeah, high five. Good on you. Oh, and we were working on this new song. Oh, just in case you showed up. Oh.
Even the fact that he ends up singing and dancing to you helps prove the fact that this is Yancey. But then all this just brings up an even bigger question. And that question is, why would Markiplier want to emphasize on how Yancey is starting parole when Yancey isn't actor Mark? But if they were actually the same person, then that would mean that you are most likely the same person as the first person viewpoint that we see of a heist with Markiplier, since it seems like you seem to know Yancey, or at least Yancey seems to know who you are. Or are you just a lookalike of that first-person view from a heist with Markiplier because there's multiple Markiplier looks-alike in there? There's even a chef look-alike. There's multiple chef looks-alikes, actually. All the looks-alikes of chefs, Markipliers, whatever you call them. Let's not open this can of worms today. Instead, let's go back to what we were talking about, the timeline. So my final answer on where this video fits in the timeline is yes. I will be making a part 2 because there's just so much to talk about and so much to explore in Space with Markiplier part 2. I still have even more stuff I need to mention about the timeline, but like even that deserves its own video. So yeah, there will be more parts coming soon. So make sure to like and subscribe, and goodbye.